In early December, Better.com CEO Vishal Garg fired about 900 employees via Zoom.
And I do not want to do this. The last time I did it, I cried.
But this wasn't the first time the tech leader landed in hot water for his leadership style. A 2020 Forbes investigation found that Better employees have long complained about Garg's leadership, and ongoing lawsuits accuse Garg or entities he controls of improper and even fraudulent activities at 2 prior business ventures, including allegations of misappropriating tens of millions of dollars. Vishal Garg was born in India and moved to Queens with his family in his early childhood. As a teen in New York, he attended the prestigious Stuyvesant High School and then NYU. A serial entrepreneur, Garg ran a few companies until he founded Better.com in 2013.
So Better has had a lot of success, and it obviously hit a nerve, especially among home buyers, because going through the mortgage process is such a pain, and it's really a Byzantine sort of process that, really was ripe for disrupting. So when Better came in and said, we can offer you pre-approval and loans within, a few minutes, it really sort of changed the space. And as a result of that, it became incredibly successful. Investors looked to pour in, hundreds of millions of dollars. And by the end of 2020, the company is valued at $4 billion, which really paved the way for Vishal to be seen as quite a revolutionary fintech leader.
Better's success prompted Forbes reporters to look into the successful startup and its founder and CEO. What they found were lawsuits that had followed Garg for years.
There was allegations of fraud, misappropriation of funds, and breaching of fiduciary duties. There was also an allegation that Garg had used misappropriated funds to seed and fund Better as it started. Going back into Garg's history, we found that he had a former friend that he'd met at Stuyvesant High School named Raza Khan, and they had been, close friends. They went to NYU together, and after graduating from college, they started a company called My Rich Uncle, which was a very successful student loan provider in the early 2000s. It became one of the largest, student loan providers in the country, until the financial crash in 2008 cut off access to more funding. So the company had to shut down.
Shortly after, Garg and Khan started EIFC, which managed private student loans and mortgage-backed securities.
They had some success in that, but this is about the time when their relationship started to fall apart, and Raza filed a lawsuit against Vishal Garg, accusing him of misappropriating several $million from the company. At the same time, Vishal countersued Raza, and basically the two men became locked in a years-long legal dispute over how money was used at EIFC. As the court battle drew on, it became so bitter that during one deposition, Vishal actually threatened to burn Raza alive.
Garg apologized for his outburst, but denies Khan's claim. But Garg has also been accused by investors of mismanaging funds related to mortgage portfolios. In 2011, Garg recruited investors to take over a mortgage portfolio through a series of businesses set up in the Cayman Islands. The plan was to use EIFC's software to identify toxic mortgages, then reap huge settlements from the banks that issued them. The investors, which include PIMCO and Goldman Sachs, accuse Garg of moving settlement money into accounts he controls instead of paying out the funds to investors. The total sum that Garg's companies allegedly did not disclose to debtors remains unclear, though filings in the ongoing case pegged a figure in the tens of millions of dollars. Garg himself is not being sued, but is identified in court filings as the person in control of the entities named as defendants.
So after our investigation was published in 2020, the company only grew from there, and this shored up the company to effectively go public by the end of 2021. And everything looked quite sunny for the company until the day after they announced that funding round.
I come to you with not great news.
Pandemonium ensued, and after these news reports came out, Vishal then went on to disparage many of these employees to the existing employees and calling them lazy.
Following the controversy, reports began to circulate about Garg's treatment of employees and comments he's made about Better's investors. Forbes also reported conflicts of interest Garg has in relation to Better, namely that he owns or holds a majority stake in companies that contract with Better.com. Finally, Better announced that Garg would be stepping back as CEO and he was placed on indefinite leave. Better also decided to delay its planned SPAC merger until 2022.
Vishal Garg really embodied what it meant to be a machismo, tech CEO. From people who I've spoken to, sitting across the table from Vishal, he could, sell ice to Eskimos. Like, he was an incredibly charming man. And this is a characteristic that is shared by a lot of these successful tech entrepreneurs. They also, do have a high tolerance for risk, and sometimes that tolerance for risk does end in legal matters. And it did come as little surprise to us that Vishal ended up in the scenario that he is in now.